Okay, I think I'm ready. I think the only thing that I wish I had that I don't have close to me is some water. Um, I'll be okay. We will kind of hop into the topics. I don't think this is going to be a long live for the first one. I just kind of want to introduce like this series. Um, I want to shuffle cards while I talk though. Okay, so hi, my name is Sequoya and I use she and her pronouns. And this is my channel, Red Linen Moon Wellness and Consulting, which is associated with my business where I provide therapy, wellness consulting, um, intuitive energy work, um, and I'm a yoga teacher. And so, yeah, I usually have different free offerings that I provide throughout the month. This is one of them, entitled Replenish. I thought that it would be um, really cool to start offering something monthly for folks to kind of gather, or either watch the replays and kind of comment about the topic. A lot of my subject matter on my channel is related to healing from emotional trauma. Um, yeah, and so this is one of those offerings to continue to provide different resources. And also just therapeutic interventions and spiritual um, types of practices that support being able to heal from emotional trauma. Emotional trauma covers a wide variety of different experiences and topics, but for the most part, we are talking about, emotional trauma around like power dynamics. So, like gaslighting, manipulation, control, tactics, triangulation, love bombing, mental and psychological abuse tactics, things like that. Dynamics that are really hard to kind of put your finger on, you know um, and so these opportunities are meant to help and supplement, with your healing journey, for also, kind of gathering some language, around these topics as well. Psychoeducation was one of the main factors in helping me to, empower myself in order to regain, a lot of my own intuition, also confidence back after. Um, just some experiences with mental and psychological abuse, and not really being able to, even as a therapist, not being able to kind of pinpoint and put my finger on what was happening, why I was feeling the way that I was feeling. And so, yeah, here we are. So if any of that sounds like kind of where you are on your journey, um, yeah, I would love for you to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. I post often here as well as on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and you can find links to how to follow me across different social media platforms in my link tree. Um, if you are watching this on YouTube, you should be able to go to the description box below and find the link. If you are catching this on Facebook, you can either find this on the page or at the top of this video. And then if you are on any of my other social media platforms looking for this, it's in the link tree, in the link in the bio. Okay, so I wanted to start off kind of talking about emotional labor, because this is an area that, you know, is relatively general, unfortunately, or a common experience, especially if you identify as, a person of color, and then, especially if you are, you know, I'm femme presenting or identify, emotional labor is um, one of those emotional dynamics, but dynamics in relationship where, a lot of times you do not give consent to engage in emotional labor with folks. But a lot of times it is definitely, kind of anticipated and expected to be in that feminine, like nurturing kind of energy, resourceful, kind of energy. Um, and so, yeah, that is what this kind of topic is related to. And I got some notes over here so that I can stay on topic. But usually, how these offerings will go, I'll do a little bit of a story time. We'll get into some topic discussion. I'll chat a little bit. And then I'll pull some cards related to what would be supportive to replenish. Um, and then, yeah, I usually provide resources, kind of throughout. And that is kind of the structure of things. I am in the process of learning how to timestamp these videos. So I will more than likely attempt to timestamp. But just so you know, like that's kind of how the order of things will go. So I will hop right into a story time. And then, yeah, we'll get into the topic discussion and we'll just end wherever we end. And like I said, definitely, whenever this message, this talk kind of finds you, you can engage in the comment section. I am relatively responsive, to folks who send comments. So I would love to chat more with you about this topic and if it applies. Um, so story time. Um, Emotional labor is, again, one of those dynamics where it's not necessarily hard to put your finger on, but we engage in it so often with folks, that having those type of boundaries and consent related to relationships is really important, and a lot of times that really falls on you, being the person who's kind of put in that role to be able to voice those boundaries with folks. And sometimes that can be hard, right? Because a lot of the times it's unconscious when folks are asking you to engage in that with them. And also, so it's unconscious. And what else was I going to say about that? Oh, and it pushes on your ability to uphold your boundaries. And something that I share with my clients a lot of the time is that, boundaries are the ultimate form of self-love. And when you are putting up boundaries with someone around emotional labor, and when I say that, what that can look like is conversations or interactions where you need to say to someone, I don't really have the capacity for that right now. Can we circle back to that either later or tomorrow? Or, when you need to say to someone, I'm not really available to be able to, kind of chat with you about that. But if you want, some immediate, kind of support, like this is another option potentially, or just leaving it at that. Um, yeah, and so one of the ones that I wanted to kind of share in the story time is related to this article that I mentioned in the kind of advertisement for this particular offering. Is that, a lot of the times, because of the different types of work that I do, folks want to pick my brain a lot of the time. And that is very uh, taxing on the spirit and on the body to be pulled on, related to my professional opinion around things, because um, a lot of my professional opinion is, what I consult on and what I get paid for. And so when folks are, kind of asking to receive that type of support from me for free, without any type of consideration, it's draining. It can be draining, right? So, yeah, I don't know if you've ever experienced anything like that. That's just one example. And kind of where I offered before is what I say to folks, um, I definitely discern, who I will absolutely, just have, conversations about what I might professionally do or not do, include or not include, but then also, making it clear that, whatever advisement that I'm giving, that this is something that I usually, get paid for. Um, how that might look if you are not someone who uh, particularly gives advisement around things, but if you are, someone who is kind of thrown into caregiving or nurturing mode, a lot of the times you are looked to for emotional support. Right. And so those are some other ways, that folks kind of show up in that energy. And so thinking more about that, looking at, your relationships, the places where you need to have boundaries are just really, really important. I mentioned this article from the Body is Not an Apologies website, and the article is titled, what is it? 50 Ways 50 ways people expect constant emotional labor from women and femmes. And the list it gave me heteronormative vibes. I definitely feel like it can be updated, and the language in it can be shifted, for folks that, don't align with more heteronormative um, types of examples. That's what I'm trying to say. But it gave a really good kind of start or framework to talk more about around emotional labor, because again, it's something that can be hard to pinpoint. So I just want to let's read this. Okay. So, in this article, it says that emotional labor is the exertion of energy for the purpose of addressing people's feelings, making people comfortable, or living up to social expectations. It's called emotional labor because it ends up using and often draining our emotional resources. Okay. Um, the next point from the article that I really like, that I do want to just point out right now, is that many marginalized people can tell you that people frequently make demands of them that cross the line from participation in a mutual relationship to work and unpaid work at that. Because we're assumed to be naturally emotionally intelligent and nurturing, people don't always understand that this is work for us. And because we're expected to put others before ourselves, a lot of people don't even care, right? Um, so in thinking about that, you know, I think it's important to make space for acknowledging those experiences, right? One of the things that I put in the kind of event description is that, emotional labor is active advocating for yourself, meaning expressing your needs, expressing your desires and boundaries. That is active. There isn't necessarily a way to heal your way out of that dynamic, meaning that, you heal, you learn different like coping skills and interventions and, grow in your intuition, and then you'll be able to pinpoint it and never experience it again. It doesn't work like that related to emotional labor. What is needed around those dynamics is your awareness and intuition building, so that when those experiences are happening, you're able to identify them and then decide, do you have the capacity for this or don't you? Um, yeah. What else do I want to say about that? Okay, we talked about what is emotional labor, what is self advocacy. So, self advocacy is along the lines of what I was describing, related to, expressing, identifying, well, first, acknowledging, identifying, and expressing, and then implementing or enforcing, staying strong, standing 10 toes down, related to whatever your desires, needs, boundaries are, right? That's what self advocacy is. And again, because emotional labor is active and kind of constant, so is self advocacy. And that is the place, where you are attempting to kind of preserve your energy, right? Because you know that it's active. You know that in, certain family relationships, you're going to be in the kind of caregiver, nurturing, emotional support kind of role for folks. Or, this may happen at work, it may happen in a friend group, it might happen in your relationship, right? Your romantic relationships, where you are, kind of not constantly, but I'll say consistently being leaned on related to emotional resources. Okay. I want to pull, let's see, do I want to pull some cards right now? Mm, okay. So I have one of my favorite books that I love to reference here, and I want to read a passage from this book to you because I think that this is actually like right on time, meaning more like it's in alignment with this topic related to emotional labor, healing, but then also, what are healing and replenishment practices for self care? So the book is Sustaining Spirit, Self Care for Social Justice by Naomi Ortiz. I love this book. This is what the cover looks like. Okay. And this book is actually linked in my bookshop below. Um, you can purchase through my bookshop. I have quite a few, uh, what do you call it? Like book topic areas. And this one is linked, I believe, in my spirituality link, but you'll find it under my bookshop. And yeah, so the chapter that I want to read is called Desert Rain, and it's in the Earth section of the book. And so here we go. In my chair yoga class today, the teacher had everyone massaging specific points on our legs. At first, people were noticeably uncomfortable, as this was an unusual assignment for most of the seniors taking the class. To be asked to touch and massage one's own body is a rare request. As we moved from one leg to the other, one of the class participants braved a question we were all wondering. They asked what it meant when you hit a sore spot. There was a group intake of breath, everyone bracing themselves for bad news or to endure some kind of new age response. Without a pause, the teacher said in her straightforward way, "It wants attention. It just needs some attention." I was struck by the simplicity of her answer. Receiving news about our bodies, especially in relation to pain, is usually framed as something to panic or worry about. All of us sitting in that class had braced ourselves for bad news. Yet the answer of giving a sore spot attention sounded non threatening, just another way to be kind to our bodies. It's true. She continued, these points on our legs are connected to meridians, which are connected to specific organs in the body. However, pain felt at a certain point could mean any number of things. You could always get support addressing these tender points from acupuncturists and others who work with the body. Yet, in her answer, the place to start wasn't in receiving care from others, but instead was with giving ourselves attention. By giving these spots some attention, by taking the time to massage and put pressure on these areas, we were practicing self care and self sustainability in the most basic of ways. As I sit here later in the day, bright desert sunlight is streaming through the window. I notice a cactus in a pot next to the window catching the rays of the sun, each spine bursting into shining beams reflecting the light. Attention can be as subtle as the light from grandfather's sun. Light allows details to emerge. Light, in fact, gives plants the energy to grow and transform. Could the attention that I give to myself contain those same possibilities? I've learned giving to others can make me feel good, that giving is important. How I have learned to give feels so much different from how I've learned to receive. Giving is an act of service. It's showing up for people and providing support. Yet for me, when it comes to the act of receiving, an uncomfortable energy surrounds it. How will I feel when receiving is so unpredictable? I could feel grateful, loved, and acknowledged, but I also could feel desperate, ashamed, greedy, or angry. This is because when I receive, I am not in charge of the experience. Someone is giving something to me. Because I am not in control, I feel pressure to adapt to the expectations of the person doing the giving. These expectations could meet up with how I actually feel, or they could not. Even if I do need support, I often feel ashamed and angry about needing help in the first place. I feel uncomfortable with being perceived as dependent, even if it is just a one time gift. I'm anxious about being resented. I worry if I can speak up if I feel there is an issue with the gift of the person giving me the gift. Receiving usually isn't like getting presents off a list. It's often someone guessing at what kind of help you might need and then giving it to you. For example, someone may assume I need encouragement or help when getting on the bus when I don't because I am slow and deliberate with what I'm doing. I have a choice in receiving. If I don't want to receive someone's encouragement because in doing so, it also forces me to receive their pity, then I don't have to take it or respond. Sometimes silence is a powerful way to receive. When I look to nature, giving and receiving are equally valued, both existing at once and working in tandem. The plants receive life giving moisture from rain. Javelinas eat the fruit borne by the Nepal cactus with a ravenous appetite, never once doubting their right to receive it. We, not exempt from nature, receive the gift of our beating hearts pumping blood without us ever asking. If we can't receive, we can't survive. If we can't receive, then we can't get nourishment. Nourishment only comes through an act of receiving. I want to better, I want to be better about receiving from myself and from others. A step grandma I have is the best I've ever seen at receiving. She always assumes that people have the best of intentions. She takes joy in it. Most importantly, she always does what she wants with it without worrying without worrying that it's going against others' expectations. One of the easiest ways for me to practice receiving is to practice receiving from myself. If I can receive from myself in little ways, I can build awareness about how to receive graciously and without guilt. I want to learn to embrace opportunities to feel loved while maintaining my own integrity. Giving myself attention is a middle ground. It means I pause long enough to put gentle pressure on what is hurting. When the pain is too much, I know to back gently away, to move more slowly into the tenderness and give myself a lot of patience. When the pain begins to fade and I feel the flow return, sometimes I can then understand a deeper emotional truth. Doing this small act of giving myself attention, I'm learning to recognize when receiving something doesn't feel quite right. I am growing in understanding how to back off or out of a situation if I need to. I am learning how to receive in ways which respect my limits or let me express my heartfelt gratitude. I can receive the rays of sunlight on my face. I can receive love or kindness from another person. Each act of receiving is a risk of vulnerability, and yet I am giving myself an opportunity to feel nourished and loved. By giving myself attention and patience, I am transforming how I feel about receiving. So I love this because this aligns with just thinking about the gift of patience, also acknowledgement of where you are with things. So when we talk about drawing boundaries, being able to express and identify like what your needs and desires and wants are, being able to tell folks that you do have capacity for something or you don't have capacity around something is that kind of how does she say? Figuring out how to receive in ways which respect your limits or let me express my heartfelt gratitude, right? So those limits, okay, identifying what your limits are, knowing what your boundaries are, knowing that there is, kind of a cap on your energy and the space that you have to be able to be a support or entertain a particular top people, place, or thing. One of the kind of interesting points that I talk a lot about related to social workers is, we have a relatively high threshold to thrive, operate in chaos related to work. And so, how does that translate into, our personal relationships? If our cap for, or if our tolerance, our kind of window for chaos is high, then at work, then that does translate into our relationships, our personal relationships, um, and that is definitely associated and linked with a trauma response. Um, and so when we think about those kind of dynamics, it just makes it interesting, um, I want to pull some cards around this, like what would be helpful related to replenishment practices. And then, yeah, and then we'll wrap up. And again, that passage that I read from was the Sustaining Spirit Self Care for Social Justice book. I was kind of looking at what cards I wanted to pull. I want to pull from the therapeutic color and journal prompt. I think those may be the only. Oh, I might pull from this other deck over here too. Okay, so let's get some journal prompts, some colors and some journal prompts related to emotional labor. I want to keep talking about this topic around emotional labor, especially in the just community organizing capacity. hmm Yeah, emotional labor is interesting in those spaces. Okay, so this is what these look like, the therapeutic color and journal prompts by Magically Bree. Um, I really like these. So the first one we got out is honey, and it says to describe your dream life, the sweet life. Okay. And so related to emotional trauma, healing from emotional trauma and replenish practices that nourish, you know, fantasize a little bit. When was the last time you fantasized about your life and just some of the experiences, that you wanted to have? This definitely ties into this piece about making the time for yourself. If you haven't, kind of fantasized and daydreamed and let your mind wander, about your life and just some of the things that you would love to do if you had the opportunity to. Maybe allow yourself to do that. Okay, the second one that came out is sand, and that says write 100 things you love list. Pay attention to the details. I love that. I love that. Third one that popped out is blood. What do you love most about your family? Show your family you love them. Okay. So these three, are telling me that related to replenishment and nourishment, what will be helpful for you is aligned with, your family life, the role within your family. Maybe those are places that you find nourishment. Maybe those are places where you find replenishment. Maybe those are areas that you need to make more time for, more leisure time for. And then this piece about what write 100 things that you love list. Yes. I love these. Okay, so those are the journal prompts to support nourishment for this month. Oh, yes, these are the other cards I wanted to pull. And then I'll pull one from here. Okay, I don't think that I mentioned this before, but thank you for being here. Please definitely like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Follow me across all the social medias. Okay, so we got Queen of Torches, and it says a sparkling blend of oils for when you need confidence or a reminder that we're all made of stars. I love that. I am the queen of torches with my crown of stars. Bold radiance shines from within and travels far. So this goes into a recipe to make a oil blend. But I feel like the message on here related to fire of passion and creativity absolutely aligns with, this write 100 things that you love list. Think about your family, right? Leaning more into that action oriented energy. A lot of times balancing, and we didn't talk about much of this in this video, but feminine and masculine energy, right? And so we all have feminine and masculine energy within us. Feminine energy is like the receptive, receiving energy, openness, vulnerability. Um, being open to new things. Masculine oriented energy is more like action oriented, task centered, planning, structure, discipline, kind of things like that. And so, with this Queen of Torches, while also, bringing up passion and creativity. We're acknowledging the feminine with the queen piece, but then also acknowledging the masculine piece with that passion and creativity, that action oriented, So this is giving me like, this is the time. This is the time for you to center yourself. This is the time for you to work on, just the things that you want to do for yourself. Identify those places a little bit more. And yeah, utilize those lists to strengthen and rebuild your confidence and intuition, because your gifts are special and needed, related to your emotional resources, and taking the time out to replenish those, to nourish, to restore, uh, is a part of the practice, is a part of the journey, and slowing down is a part of being in service to people, right? So I think that was a beautiful way to kind of wrap things up. Um, as I mentioned again, I'm going to do this monthly. The next one will be March. Yes, I'll put it in the description box below. But I believe I identified the next date already for this offering again, which will be in March. I definitely hope to have some folks here in the chat with me to talk about these topics. But if you're catching this on the replay, definitely comment below. And yeah, I will set set up the event here so that you can set a reminder for yourself so that you don't miss it for next month. Check out any of my other offerings that I have going on. I hope that this, finds you nourished and supported. And yeah, I'll see you for the next session for replenishing. Thank you.